You're the ones who we're trying to get involved on your journey, and we want you guys to all succeed. I know that all of the faculty here truly want to help the students pursue their own careers in STEM. Some of you may be getting ready to go into careers after your 2-year degree. Some of you may be transferring to 4-year degrees. Some of you may be thinking about going to grad school eventually. Well, I have good news and bad news. So first, the good news. Working in STEM is exciting and challenging and can be so rewarding. And there are a lot of job opportunities, which is something that is very important to consider when embarking on your career. While research and working with students is what I personally like to do, there are lots of jobs in different industries. From tech companies to pharmaceutical companies, healthcare, to being a statistician for a sports franchise. I know there's one campaign right now with GE showing all of the different technology and science jobs that they have. For those who have aspirations of continuing on to get a PhD, a recent NSF study found that the unemployment rate for those with a STEM PhD in research had a 1/3 unemployment rate of that of the general adult population, only 2.1%. The PhDs that they looked at comprised a huge array: biology, agriculture, environmental science, engineering, the physical sciences, math and statistics, and computer and information sciences. So there are so many jobs in these fields that you'll be able to find. In addition, the growing body of knowledge and the rapid pace of advancement in technology has led to the prediction by the Bureau of Labor Statistics that there will be an increase of 22.8% in software development jobs just over the next 7 to 8 years. Again, this is mostly due to just how fast technology is advancing, and new jobs are being created that didn't exist 5 to 10 years ago. We're also very lucky to be studying in the United States. Industrialized nations have a unique situation. The infrastructure that we have allows there to be links between having an interest in science and being able to learn about it, even at home on your own time. You have opportunities to gain experience, and you have opportunities in education to look at. So now for the bad news. Unfortunately, 40% of students who in their first year plan to major in a STEM field will either leave to a different major or they won't complete any degree at all. When you include pre-medical students in that factor, it goes up to 60%. So why are so many students leaving? Obviously the students here are very interested and would never think about that, but they face the same challenges as all of those who don't go through with it. The first one is, there are difficult courses. A lot of the information in your first years is going to be theoretical. While you do get to have fun in lab and learn new things, you're also learning complex theorems and working through at your own pace. You don't have someone there all the time to help you. You're reliant on yourself. Also, in bigger schools, there's often large introductory classes. When you have so many students, it can be hard for a student to approach your professor to actually ask for help. You feel like you kind of get lost in the crowd, and that's something that no instructor wants. It's also been found that those in the STEM fields get lower grades overall compared to the other departments in schools. This is because in the STEM fields, there's generally a right answer. You can't just wing it and rely on your personality. You do have to figure out what the answer actually is. As you move on, you'll begin developing your skills in critical thinking and solving problems different ways. But especially at the beginning, you do have to find that right answer. There's not much leeway for professors to give you credit for thinking creatively if you didn't solve the equation correctly. The other thing is that there's a lot of foundational information that you need. It may seem sometimes like professors are being extremely strict and grading harshly, but you need that information to progress in your fields. If you're taking Chemistry 101, those concepts concepts are going to be repeated over and over again, and the professors can't go back and reteach it every semester as you're going through. So that's why they expect you to be able to complete the tasks when you're doing them. Again, it's not to be mean, it's so that you know what you're doing. A lot of these fields often relate to each other. I know students sometimes have a hard time with math, but you need that in any of the other STEM fields. Also, a lot of the sciences relate with each other. Chemistry and biology work together all the time. And you need to know how things are working chemically to understand how they're working biologically. We also have a lot of cultural influences, particularly in the United States, that say that, in particular, math is hard. A lot of students will say that they're just not good at math. I know other people think that too. And some statisticians did a study that showed that a lot of biologists aren't doing their statistics properly. And then probably tell you, these are people with research PhDs, that they're just not good at math too. So are people naturally bad at math? They're not. And I'll go into that in a minute. One other influence in the United States is that there's a predominant view that females aren't as good at math and science as males are. So a group of researchers looked at 10th graders and compared males versus females in math grades. There was no significant difference between their grades at all. However, when you look at the more challenging courses, as you progress through, particularly in college, it seems that females do start to get lower grades than males on average, even when their GPAs match in the arts and humanities with those students. Even in biology departments, where 60% of undergraduates are female, you find a slight decrease in grades among females. It's about 2.3%. The study that found that looked at the interactions the students were having. While males and females were equally likely to ask questions, females were significantly less likely to raise their hand or volunteer an answer to an open-ended question. So it seems that the biggest factor is confidence. I also want to point out that these differences aren't found in all countries. In other cultures, where it's not assumed that males and females have differences in the math and sciences, you don't find these grade degrees. So the biggest thing is to develop confidence in your skills. It's okay to not understand something. It's perfectly reasonable to have a question. So make sure that you ask them. And for faculty, make sure that you encourage your students when they get things right. So back to math. Since math is hard, there's a big study that's found that IQ is not correlated to math skills. There was a slight difference in intelligence factors when you looked at the early development of math skills, like going into elementary school. However, there was no correlation between IQ and math grades going on throughout the rest of your career. They did a bunch of different studies, and they looked at what happened and what those differences were between students that were doing really well and those who were doing not as well. And they found that the biggest indicator of success in math classes was motivation and developing good study habits. So the keys to that are thinking critically, connecting to other topics. It's okay if math isn't your favorite subject. It's not going to be everyone's favorite subject. Even mathematicians have courses that they don't like. My best friend is getting a PhD in math. She doesn't particularly like statistics. So that's okay. You have to be able to connect it to what you are interested in. So see how it's relating to the courses that you do enjoy. The other key is you can't just memorize how to do every equation and expect to be able to succeed in it. You'll get burnt out. You won't enjoy it, and you're not actually processing the information if you're just memorizing it. This is something that we kind of understand when we think about something like music. When you think about musicians and learning to play, they don't start out being able to play instruments well. They take time, they practice at it. They start figuring out how to compose music on their own. They don't just memorize exactly what to do for every song, or they'll never advance in their careers. So you need to invest time into math to be able to be good at it, and then it will get easier. So try to keep that in mind the next time you're working on a tough problem. Now, what can you do to succeed while you're still in school? There's a lot of skills that you'll develop, and these are skills that you'll need to take with you into your careers. The first is to work with others. You'll find that different students and your friends are going to be better at some courses than others, and you'll be better at some courses than others. Everyone has different things that interest them and different skill sets. So one of the best things that you can do right now is to form study groups. Even if it's a course that you're doing fairly well in, it's a good idea to work with other students. If you're the one who's stronger in that field, you'll be able to learn and integrate more of that information by explaining it to those who you're working with. And then when you're in a class and you're not doing as well and one of them is doing better, you'll have someone to ask for help. You also need to develop problem-solving skills. Again, you can't rely on just memorizing everything. You can't memorize all of STEM or even all of any science. You're going